Welcome to the third edition of The Quick Fix, a mini podcast from Create If Writing. In this bite-sized episode, you're going to hear news, info, and resources to help you, a writer, blogger, or creative trying to build an online platform without being smarmy.
These restless thoughts have kept me up again tonight. One by one the stars are disappearing from the horizon.
Hey there, and welcome to The Quick Fix. This is Kirsten Oliphant, and we're on the third week of this second podcast a week for me, and I'm really loving it. And the feedback has been really fun from you guys as well. I really enjoyed hearing from Kathy Landowski from mysideof50.com this week, who said that it was really helpful to her to hear about one of the articles last week where I was talking about HTTPS, which is not one of my strong suits in terms of tech stuff, but she said for her, it was much more helpful to hear it than just to read it. So excellent. I'm glad to hear that. It's working. I am really happy to be here with a few links for the week, and I'm kind of making some changes as I go and adapting some things. So this week you're going to have homework, maybe every week. And by homework, which is a gross word, I just mean an action item, which is maybe a better way to say that. So listen for that at the end. Let's start out with the first link, which is going to be from Taylor Bradford. And this is another podcaster. So you can find her podcast at Boss Girl Creative. And Taylor and I actually connected. We knew each other. We ran in like the same blogger groups. We were both bloggers first. And then we actually met in person for the first time at Podcast Movement 2015. And we had both just started podcasting, and we still keep in touch. So this episode from her is fantastic, and it was all about how to plan content for the year. And I listened thinking, oh, I've been talking about this, like no biggie. But Taylor and I have different brains. Your brain is awesome, Taylor. And in her episode where I've been talking about planning content and kind of giving you guys some good ideas, her episode, in episode 84 of the Boss Girl Creative Podcast, is all about how to use Google Analytics and Google Console to plan your content. And I've kind of touched on this briefly, but she goes way down deep. So you're going to want to listen, but you're also going to want to get your computer out and have it in front of you so that you can actually open things up and follow along with her instructions, because it's pretty insane. And that's actually on my to-do list for this week, is to pull up the computer, because I was listening while getting ready or doing something. I don't know what I was doing, but nothing where I was near the computer. And I was like, I've got to go back and listen again. So this is a really helpful episode as you plan your content to be completely 100% strategic. Use that strategy to plan out your content for the year. Fantastic information, episode 84 of the Boss Girl Creative Podcast. And again, I'm leaving the link in the show notes. And if you're just hearing this for the first time and you're not signed up, you can go to createifwriting.com/quickfix to access the archives instantly. So, second link. Now, you're going to notice a trend here between these first two links. And like I talked about with HTTPS not being my strong suit, this is also not my strong suit. We're talking about keywords. So with Taylor's, we were looking at Google Analytics and Google Console. The second link is from Dominique J, and I've been following him for a while on Twitter and clicked through to this post that just blew my mind, and I think I'm going to have to read it about 20 more times. But basically, it's a post that goes really down deep into keyword research, which is one of those things that I hear about a lot, and mostly my keyword research consists of going to Google, starting to type something in and seeing what else comes up, and then I just write a blog post. And that's not keyword research, okay? That's laziness. But maybe you're like me and that's where you are. So he goes down deep, and he does use a paid tool. It has a free plan, but you can only do like 3 searches per day. But he does use Keyword Finder, which is a paid tool. If you do the next bump up, it's $12 a month. So it's not bad if you're going to up your SEO game. SEO, search engine optimization, in case you're kind of like, this is still way above me. So he goes through and takes a website and then goes through an entire plan of what he would recommend for this site based on Keyword Finder, the content that's already there, competitors, stuff. I mean, screenshots, it's step by step. It's pretty amazing. This is, again, something that I am going to be studying, because if you can guess from these sort of trends, these two, I am upping my SEO game this year. That's one of my big goals, because well, I don't need to give you a because. SEO is something I'm not super good at all. I don't have a lot of traffic coming from search engines, and I want to change that because as I have seen, even though there are algorithm changes with search engines and things like pop-ups can affect your search engine, kind of where you're found in there, it doesn't change the same way I think social media does necessarily. So that's one of the things I'm working on this year. And for our last link, this is something a little bit different. Now, I've given you 2 really practical deep down dive links, and now I'm giving you one that's a little bit woo-woo. And if you don't know that term, it kind of just means the more inspired, ethereal, not so much like nuts and bolts kind of thing, but I really like the term woo-woo. And I'm not typically a woo-woo kind of person. I like a little bit of inspiration and then I want to go do something about it. So I don't tend to leave a lot of these links in the quick fix, which I think of as very actionable. However, this one is super awesome. So this comes to us from Jason Zook, who is kind of one of my favorite people to watch because he's an entrepreneur, he's a creative, and does a lot of things that are just sort of out of the box, out of the, just coming from his mind. I mean, they're just really bizarre, interesting things. This is like a terrible way to describe a person. I'm sorry, Jason, if you happen to listen to this. It's the worst way I could intro you ever. So, but let me just give you an example. So earlier this year, he had a campaign for what he called Buy My Future. And he literally sold kind of, you could buy a package and anything he has created or will create, you'll get access to it, which is a really amazing concept. And if you see the kind of work that he's created, it's pretty fantastic things. So anyway, I'm on his email list, which is great. And he sent out something this week that was called, How Many Times Are You Willing to Hear No is the name of the blog post. And he talked about all the different times he's been told no. And he counted over 4,000. He didn't go line by line, but just talked about how many times he'd reached out to different people. He talked about some of the things that he learned from hearing no and how he found the gold in getting these no's when he asked things. And so here are a couple things just to kind of leave you guys with. He said at the very end of the post that we should be hearing no, we should be reaching out, we should be brave because it means I want the dream more than I fear the rejection that comes from making an ask. I want to succeed more than I'm afraid to fail. I know from experience that every no is an opportunity to hear yes later on. And then kind of this last one I really love. I'm willing to put myself out on the line because I know that's what it takes to have incredible things happen in life. So this was all about being brave, about taking chances, being risky, and finding really neat results from that, even if the result is no, and even if there's not a yes later on for that same thing. And I really loved that post. So I wanted to leave that in here, even though it's a little bit different, because I think no matter what you're doing, it takes bravery to move past those fears, to get over yourself sometimes, and to step out of the bounds and really do something. So I just wanted to leave that as a link as well this week, because I know it can apply to all the other nuts and bolts things that you are doing. So a few other things, and then we'll close up this episode of The Quick Fix. First, I'm having this is a second email growth live workshop on Tuesday, January 31st, and I will be launching my course, Own Your List, which is actually a relaunch because I launched it a year and a half ago and just now am relaunching the full video course. And I'm going to be doing a training as a part of this, so it's not going to be some sales pitchy thing. If you guys went last week, I had a totally pitch-free workshop, but this is going to have a pitch at the end, but you're going to get tons of training on how to write a killer welcome series. So that's what we're going to be talking about Tuesday. You can sign up for this workshop by going to creativewriting.com/workshop. So I hope you will join me for that. Even if you know, like, hey, I am on a strict no course budget diet, that's fine. I go there too sometimes. Show up for the free training. You'll be glad you did, and I'll be glad you're there. So as for my featured community member, which is something I want to add to this, I am featuring Roland Denzel. Hey, Roland. And Roland is a fitness coach. I think that's like a really tiny term to use for Roland, but he has a passion for fitness and nutrition. You can find him at eatmovelive52.com. He's got resources and more. He has a podcast. He and his wife do this together, and it's really inspiring. And he's also really funny. So Roland is a member of my community and a fantastic member. He speaks up a lot. He has a very dry sense of humor that I appreciate so much in the community. And it's just really inspiring to hear his journey of losing 75 pounds, of gaining muscle, of keeping this off for 11 years, and sharing kind of the passions and practical aspects of this with other people. So thanks for being a community member, Roland. Again, you can find him at eatmovelive52.com. And if you want to join our thriving community of fantastic people, some of whom have great dry humor, you can go to creativewriting.com/community. Now I'm going to end with homework for you guys. So the homework for today, I have two things. One, I want you, from kind of looking at those first two articles, to plan some content based around either keywords or what Google Console is telling you you should be basing your content on. And they're kind of related. So it could be like a both and kind of thing. But basically, I want you to plan out some content, even if it's one blog post. And you don't actually, for homework, yes, you should write it. But I'm just telling you, action item. Plan some content based on keywords or what's bringing people to your site. And then your second thing is I want to encourage you, from the woo-woo article from Jason Zook, to do something you're afraid of. Go take that risk. Email that person that you want to collaborate with. Ask, write a pitch for something, whatever it is that you have been kind of scared of, or you have that, feeling about, but you need to do it. Please just do it. And if you do, tag me on Twitter at KikiMojo, or tell us in the community. I would love to hear about what brave things you are doing, even if you hear no. In fact, I'd love to hear if you get a no back, and I will be doing the same. If I get some no's, I'll be sure to share with you guys as well. Thank you guys for listening. Again, you can subscribe and get all the links instantly in the archives if you go to creativewriting.com/quick fix. I'm so glad you're listening, and I hope you have a great weekend.